Good evening from Mark's Saloon. Today we're gonna cook up a few beans here. These have got to be some kind of heirloom bean the way they look, but they're delicious. We got some yellows and some of these funkies here. I don't even know what they're called. Some are flat, some are curled. Same difference. We're gonna keep it really simple. We're gonna make a sauté. We're gonna do it in olive oil, which means it's gonna be really low heat because olive oil is wonderful raw. You can saute it lightly, but once you start getting the heat up beyond that, you're going to oxidize it, and that's bad. But it is high in monounsaturated oil, so that's what you want. As opposed to canola oil and other junk out there that they tell you is healthy, it's not. A little salt and pepper. We use full spectrum salt here. It's like a mineral salt, Himalayan crystals. You can buy any of it. You can buy sea salt. It just has to have the full salt. All the minerals that's normally in salt should be in there. You can see there's kind of pink, so it has other minerals than regular salt. So a good sea salt or a good full spectrum like Himalayan salt, that'll do the job for you. And then we're just going to add a little bit of garlic, and then the beans, and that's it. We're gonna saute them so that they still have a bite to them, a little al dente sort of. You can eat them raw. I mean, you can eat beans raw, but they are certainly best if you cook them a little bit. So we'll do just that, and show you when we're done cleaning and stuff. We'll get them on the pan. Okay, so we got these beans cleaned up here. Just kept a couple of beans handy to show you, in case you actually never cleaned a bean. You know, I mean that's legit. You don't normally have to touch this end. Sometimes you just do a little nip. Up here is where the stem was attached. That's where you take the end off. Same with this one. It looks fine down there. I mean, you can just, if you want, you can just nip that off, but you really don't have to. There you go. Get rid of that. So. We're going to get this cranking here. Good little gas stove. When these things get wet, they're hard to use. And again, we're going to do a saute, so you don't really want to make it too high. And again, you don't have to be afraid of your olive oil. Just I tend to store it in the refrigerator because I do believe that I believe in the rancid argument. Some people say olive oil doesn't go rancid. I believe it actually does oxidize over time. So normally we keep that in the refrigerator and just take it out. You can just run it under hot water for a little bit, and then it starts to melt. So that's a good way to keep your olive oil happy. So we're going to have this, and I think beans cook a little bit longer than certain other things, like for example spinach. That's very, very fast. Beans need a little more time. So we're not going to put the garlic in up front, which I might do with spinach, but because it might crisp up too much. So we're going to put the beans on first and let them cook for a little while, and then we'll add the garlic later on. So, but these can go on right now while the oil is heating up. And with something like this that needs a little bit more attention as far as time, you might sometimes just keep it on low heat and put the lid on, because then, you know, then it just kind of keeps the heat in there and gets the job done a little bit faster. What you don't want to do is turn the heat up. So we'll check in with you when this gets kicking a little more, and share the crunch. So here we are. They've been on here for a little bit. We did put the lid on for a little bit, just let it sit there and do its thing. And now we'll go ahead and put the garlic in. There we go. Okay. And it sounds like it's on really high, which it isn't. I'll turn it down a little bit more. Beans have some water on them too, and when you wash the vegetables, sometimes it'll splatter a little if they have a wet surface. Or if there's water coming out from inside that adds water to the oil, then, you know. But they do have screens you can put on, like if you're frying stuff, you can, these mesh screens you can buy that, you know, keep the splatter from going everywhere. A little bit of salt and pepper here. And we like our garlic a little bit crispy, so the idea is to leave the garlic in just a little bit longer. And there we go. So we'll just mix it in real good. And I'll keep stirring. Once you get the garlic in, you can't put the lid on. You really have to kind of keep an eye on things. At this point, the beans are theoretically ready. We're just waiting for the garlic to darken a little bit. So we'll turn off the camera and get back to you when that's happened. It looks like we're just about there. You can see the garlic is taking on a slightly golden hue here. That's what we're looking for. So we can go ahead and grab one of these beans. And I'm probably not going to want to bite too much into it at this temperature. But try this one here. I'll definitely turn it off. Once garlic has the color you want, off with the heat, because the oil is going to keep cooking things for a little bit, so you want to kind of preempt disaster by turning it off. You can always turn it back on if you absolutely need to, but and again, we're looking for a little crunch here to be left in the bean, a little crispy. Yep. In fact, you can kind of compare it to the crispy on a chip when you get Chinese food. If you order that stuff, which is probably cooked in vegetable oil or soybean oil, but the crunch you get in the Chinese vegetable is kind of crunch you want to resemble at home. That's it. So we're going to go ahead and eat this. Sorry we can't share it, but you can make your own now. And we'll catch up with you when we have something else to cook for you. Signing off from Mark Saute.